girls. Good morning. Happy Wednesday on Planniest Day of the Week. That's right, Jackie.
No, sir. No. It's coffee.
It's nighttime here today. I went to my normal Pilates, and then this evening I went to the BFT gym with my. That's awesome, Anne. Good for you. Good for you getting in some movement. I'm a little sore today from movement. Yay. All right, we're on May 21st. Go lay down. Stop your tiptoe tapping. Thank you. All right. Solomon judges wisely. 1 Kings 3:16 through 28. Sometime later, two prostitutes came to the king to have an argument settled. Please, my lord, one of them began, this woman and I live in the same house. I gave birth to a baby while she was with me in the house. 3 days later, this woman also had a baby. We were alone. There were only two of us in the house. But her baby died during the night when she rolled over on it. Then she got up in the middle of the night, took my son from beside me while I was asleep. She laid her dead child in my arms and took mine to sleep beside her. And in the morning, when I tried to nurse my son, he was dead. But when I looked more closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't my son at all. Then the other woman interrupted. It certainly was your son, and the living child is mine. No, the first woman said, the living child is mine, and the dead one is yours. And so they argued back and forth before the king. Then the king said, let's get the facts straight. Both of you claim the living child is yours, and each says that the dead one belongs to the other. All right, bring me a sword. So the sword was brought to the king. Then he said, cut the living child in two and give half to the woman and half to one woman and half to the other. But the woman who was the real mother of the living child and who loved him very much cried out, oh no, my lord, give her the child. Please do not kill him. But the other woman said, all right, he will neither be yours nor mine. Divide him between us. Then the king said, do not kill the child, but give him to the woman who wants him to live, for she is his mother. When all of Israel heard the king's decision, the people were in awe of the king, for they saw the wisdom God had given him for rendering justice. Preparations for building the temple. 1 Kings 5:1 through 18. King Hiram of Tyre always had been a loyal friend of David. When Hiram learned that David's son Solomon was the new king of Israel, he sent ambassadors to congratulate him. Then Solomon sent this message back to Hiram. You know that my father, David, was not able to build a temple to honor the name of the Lord his God because of the many wars waged against him by the surrounding nations. He could not build until the Lord gave him victory over all of his enemies. But now the Lord my God has given me peace on every side. I have no enemies, and all is well. So I am planning to build a temple to honor the name of the Lord my God, just as he had instructed my father David. For the Lord told him, your son, whom I will place on your throne, will build the temple to honor my name. Therefore, please command that cedars from Lebanon be cut for me. Let my men work alongside yours, and I will pay your men whatever wages you ask. As you know, there is no one among us who can cut timber like you Sidonians. When Hiram received Solomon's message, he was very pleased and said, praise the Lord today for giving David a wise son to be king of the great nation of Israel. Then he sent this reply to Solomon. I have received your message, and I will supply all the cedars and cypress timber you need. My servants will bring the logs from the Lebanon mountains to the Mediterranean Sea and make them into rafts and float them along the coast to whatever place you choose. Then we will break the rafts apart so you can carry the logs away. You can pay me by supplying by supplying me with food for my household. So Hiram supplied as much cedar and cypress timber as Solomon desired. In return, Solomon sent him an annual payment of 100,000 bushels of wheat for his household and 110,000 gallons of pure olive oil. So the Lord gave wisdom to Solomon just as he had promised, and Hiram and Solomon made a formal alliance of peace. Then King Solomon conscripted a labor force of 30,000 men from all of Israel. He sent them to Lebanon in shifts, 10,000 every month, so that each man would be 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of this labor force. Solomon had 70,000 common laborers, 80,000 quarry workers in the hill country, and 36,000 foremen to supervise the work. At the king's command, they quarried large blocks of high-quality stone and shaped them to make the foundation of the temple. Men from the city of Gebal helped Solomon's and Hiram's builders prepare the timber for the stone temple. 2 Chronicles 2, 1 through 18. Solomon decided to build a temple to honor the name of the Lord, and also a royal palace for himself. He enlisted a force of 70,000 laborers, 80,000 men to quarry a stone in the hill country, and 3,600 foremen. Solomon also sent this message to King Hiram of Tyre: "Send me cedar logs, as you did for my father David when he was building his palace. I am about to build a temple to honor the name of the Lord my God. It will be a place set apart to burn fragrant incense before him, to display the special sacrificial bread, and to sacrifice burnt offerings each morning and evening. On the Sabbaths, at the new moon celebration, and at the other appointed festivals of the Lord our God. He has commanded Israel to do these things forever. This must be a magnificent temple because our God is greater than all of the other gods. But who can really build him a worthy home? Not even the highest heavens can contain him. So who am I to consider building a temple for him, except as a place to burn sacrifices to him? So send me a master craftsman who can work with gold, silver, bronze, and iron, as well as purple, scarlet, and blue cloth. He must be a skilled engraver who can work with the craftsmen of Judah and Jerusalem, who were selected by my father David. Also, send me cedar, cypress, and red sandalwood logs from Lebanon, for I know that your men are without equal, cutting timber in Lebanon. I will send my men to help them. An immense amount of timber will be needed for the temple I am going to build will be very large and magnificent. In payment for your woodcutters, I will send 100,000 bushels of crushed wheat, 100,000 bushels of barley, and 110,000 gallons of wine, and 110,000 gallons of olive oil." King Hiram sent this letter of reply to Solomon: "It is because the Lord loves his people that he has made you their king. Praise the Lord, the God of Israel, who has made the heavens and the earth. He has given King David a wise son, gifted with skill and understanding, who will build a temple for the Lord and a royal palace for him. I am sending you a master craftsman named Hiram Abi, who is extremely talented. His mother is from the tribe of Dan in Israel, and his father is from Tyre. He is skillful at making things from gold, silver, and bronze and iron, and he also works with stone and wood. He can work with purple, blue, and scarlet cloth and fine linen. He is also an engraver who can follow any design given to him. He will work with your craftsmen and those appointed by my lord David, your father. Send along the wheat, barley, olive oil, and wine that my lord has mentioned, and we will cut whatever timber you need from the Lebanon mountains, and will float the logs in rafts down the coast of the Mediterranean Sea to Joppa. From there you can transport the logs to Jerusalem." Solomon took a census of all foreigners in the land of Israel, like the census his father had taken, and he counted 153,600. He assigned 70,000 of them as common laborers, and 80,000 as quarry workers in the hill country, and 3,600 as foremen. Solomon builds the temple. 1 Kings 6, 1 through 13. It was mid-spring in the month of Ziv, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign, that he began to construct the temple of the Lord. This was 480 years after the people of Israel were rescued from their slavery in the land of Egypt. The temple that King Solomon built for the Lord was 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 45 feet high. The entry room at the front of the temple was 30 feet wide, running across the entire width of the temple. It projected outward 15 feet from the front of the temple. Solomon also made a narrow recessed windows throughout the temple. He built a complex of rooms against the outer walls of the temple, all the way around the sides and rear of the building. The complex was 3 stories high, the bottom floor being 7.5 feet wide, the second floor 9 feet wide, and the top floor 10.5 feet wide. The rooms were connected to the walls of the temple by beams resting on ledges built out from the wall, so the beams were not inserted into the walls themselves. The stones used in the construction of the temple were finished at the quarry, so there was no sound of a hammer, axe, or any other iron tool at the building site. The entrance to the bottom floor was on the south side of the temple. There was winding stairs going up to the second floor and another flight of stairs between the second and third floor. After completing the temple structure, Solomon put a ceiling made of cedar beams and planks as already stated, he built a complex of rooms along the sides of the building attached to the temple walls by cedar timbers. Each story of the complex was 7.5 feet high. Then the Lord gave this message to Solomon: Concerning this temple you are building, if you keep all my decrees and regulations and obey all my commands, I will fulfill through you the promise I made to your father David. I will live among the Israelites and will never abandon my people Israel. 2 Chronicles 3, 1 through 14. So Solomon began to build the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where the Lord had appeared to David his father. The temple was built on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite, the site that David had selected. The construction began in mid-spring, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign. These are the dimensions Solomon used for the foundation of the temple of God, using the old standard of measurement. It was 90 feet long and 30 feet wide. The entry room at the front of the temple was 30 feet wide, running across the entire width of the temple, and 30 feet high. He overlaid the inside with pure gold. He paneled the main room of the temple with cypress wood, overlaid it with fine gold, and decorated it with carvings of palm trees and chains. He decorated the walls of the temple with beautiful jewels and with gold from the land of Parvaim. He overlaid the beams, thresholds, walls, and doors throughout the temple with gold, and he carved figures of cherubim on the walls. He made the most holy place 30 feet wide, corresponding to the width of the temple, and 30 feet deep. He overlaid its interior with 23 tons of fine gold. The gold nails that were used weighed 20 ounces each. He also overlaid the walls of the upper rooms with gold. He made 2 figures shaped like cherubim, overlaid them with gold, and placed them in the most holy place. The total wingspan of the 2 cherubim, standing side by side, was 30 feet. One wing of the first figure was 7.5 feet long, and it touched the temple wall. The other wing, also 7.5 feet long, touched one of the wings of the second figure. In the same way, the second figure had one wing, 7.5 feet long, that touched the opposite wall. The other wing also 7.5 feet long, touched the wing of the first figure. So the wingspan of the 2 cherubim, side by side, was 30 feet. They stood on their feet and faced out toward the main room of the temple. Across the entrance of the most holy place, he hung a curtain made of fine linen, decorated with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and embroidered with figures of cherubim. I wonder where all that gold is today. Like, where did it all go? The temple's interior, 1 Kings 6, 14 through 38. So Solomon finished building the temple. The entire inside from floor to ceiling was paneled with wood. He paneled the walls and ceilings with cedar. And no, go lay down. I don't want that silly carrot. He paneled the walls and ceilings with cedar, and he used the planks of cypress for the floors. He partitioned off the inner sanctuary, the most holy place, at the far end of the temple. It was 30 feet deep and was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. The main room of the temple outside the most holy place was 60 feet long. Cedar paneling completely covered the stone walls throughout the temple, and the paneling was decorated with carvings of gourds and open flowers. He prepared the inner sanctuary at the far end of the temple, where the Ark of the Lord's covenant would be placed. The inner sanctuary was 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 30 feet high. He overlaid the inside with solid gold. He also overlaid the altar made of cedar. Then Solomon overlaid the rest of the temple's interior with solid gold, and he made gold chains to protect the entrance to the most holy place. So he finished overlaying the entire temple with gold, including the altar that belonged to the most holy place. He made 2 cherubim of wild olive wood, each 15 feet tall, and placed them in the inner sanctuary. The wingspan of each of the cherubim was 15 feet. Each wing being 7.5 feet long. The 2 cherubim were identical in shape and size. Each was 15 feet tall. He placed them side by side in the inner sanctuary of the temple. Their outspread wings reached from wall to wall, while their inner wings touched at the center of the room. He overlaid the 2 cherubim with gold. He decorated all the walls of the inner sanctuary in the main room with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. He overlaid the floors in both rooms with gold. For the entrance of the inner sanctuary, he made double doors of wild olive wood and 5-sided doorposts. These double doors were decorated with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. The doors, including the decorations of the cherubim and palm trees, were overlaid with gold. Then he made 4-sided doorposts of wild olive wood for the entrance of the temple. There were 2 folding doors of cypress wood, and each door was hinged to fold back upon itself. These doors were decorated with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, all overlaid evenly with gold. The walls of the inner courtyard were built so that there was 1 layer of cedar beams between every 3 layers of finished stone. The foundations of the Lord's temple was laid in mid-spring, and in the month of Ziv, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign. The entire building was completed in every detail by mid-autumn in the month of Bul during the 11th year of his reign. So it took 7 years to build the temple. Maybe. I don't know. Hannah. I'm not much of a historian. I don't really know. All right. We are going to read Pots, Pans, and Prophecies by Rhonda K. Holland. We're just starting this today. If you have an opportunity to purchase the book, it would be awesome to support the author. You can buy it from Amazon. The link is on my Facebook page and in the unofficial coaching community. All right. So the introduction, Pots, Pans, and Prophecies. 2 Timothy 2:20 through 21. Some of us love to cook. Some of us love for others to cook for us, and some of us like to go out for a good meal. I think all of us fall into one or more of those categories at times. Regardless of whether we are the chef or the recipient of the meal prepared, there are some things about cooking that we all have in common. We have to have vessels, pots and pans of some sort for our food to be prepared. There are also certain basic things that are required in order for those vessels to be used. None of us would prepare a meal in a dirty pot or eat a meal that we knew was prepared in one. The pot or pan used would have to be clean, always. So first of all, the main thing in determining whether or not we use a pot or pan to prepare a dish would be that it has to be clean. Secondly, the pot or pan has to be accessible. As the cook in my own kitchen, like you, there are some requirements that are just a given. Absolutely, the pot or pan must be clean before I would use it, and I have got to be able to find it. Have you ever looked for a pot or pan that you couldn't locate? It may be one that you only use for certain events or special educations, but if it is not accessible to you, you can't use it. I have a huge pot that I only use when I have a large group or extended family over, so I usually put it away until I know I am going to need it. One year, my husband had stored this favorite big stew pot of mine in a box with my Christmas decorations. His explanation to me was that it was because I only use it around the holidays. It made perfect sense to him, but if the pot was unavailable to me when I needed it, it was of no use, even if it was clean. I was just about to give up on using my favorite stew pot because I couldn't find it when my husband came in and told me where he had put it. Therefore, before the pot or pan could be used, it has to be accessible to the chef. Thirdly, the pot I use has to be the right size and texture to be able to handle and hold the ingredients I have for my recipe. The right pot has to be able to hold the ingredients. It is up to me as the cook to understand which pot or pan is the right vessel of choice for what I want to prepare. I choose based on what recipe I desire to complete, and I factor in the purpose for which the pot or pan was created as to whether it is right for the dish. Also, the pot or pan has to be seasoned and tempered in order to take the heat required to prepare the dish. The right vessel will be able to take the heat. If a pot or pan is not able to take the heat or endure the required time in the oven for what I am preparing, I must choose another. My choice in determining which pot or pan in my kitchen to use for a particular purpose doesn't mean that another one not used at the time is any less important or needed than the other. It just means that I have to choose the right one according to its ability and according to what I want or need prepared at the time. Now let's use our imagination a little bit. What if the pots and pans in your kitchen were alive, living beings, each with their own personality? What if they were the ones trying to decide when and for what they would be used for and could argue and reason with you about your choices for their use? What if the pots thought they had to plan the meals and purchase the ingredients? If the pots and pans could decide, chances are they would never want a tasteless or bitter or sour ingredient placed in them. It is likely that they would choose only the sweet and tasteful ingredients for themselves. But it's the chef who knows that sometimes the ingredients include the bitter, sour, and sometimes the seemingly tasteless ones to create the perfect recipe. What if the pots and pans had to choose which among themselves would be used to go into the oven next? What if they could choose which could be used to prepare a main dish or the dessert? What if they could choose which one got to sit this one out and wait until the next meal? What if they were jealous or angry because you used one pot more than the others? If the pots and pans were in charge of the kitchen, I can imagine that they would be sure to get credit for the delicious meals prepared. Imagine how you would feel if your husband, friends, or family member walked up to the large pot on the stove and thanked it for the awesome bowl of chili you just served. What if someone walked over to the pan you just took from the oven, and thanked it for the amazing and tasty casserole that you just dished out for them? No, in reality, even though they are essential for the meal to be completed, pots and pans are never given, nor do they take credit for what is prepared. The success of the dish always goes to the chef. Real pots and pans in our kitchen never worry about the vessel on the shelf beside it is created to accomplish. They don't become envious or jealous if one pot seems to be used more often or for better things. The choice of when and for what the pots and pans are to be used for is solely the responsibility of the chef and never the vessels. As the main chef for my family, no offense to real chefs, I know I am just a home cook. I plan and purchase the ingredients for the meal I want to prepare for them. I go to my favorite grocery store and take the time to choose carefully the items, buy them, take them to the car, place them from the cart to the back seat of my vehicle, take them home, unload them from the car to the kitchen. Now I have taken my time and expense to go out and purchase and bring home what I need to prepare the meal. I've brought in all the required items to complete my delicious dishes. The ingredients are there in my kitchen, bought and paid for. However, I still have to have my pots and pans, or I cannot prepare what I want for my family to benefit from and enjoy. I need more than just the right ingredients to accomplish my goal. I must have the vessels. I must have pots and pans that are clean, accessible, and that can handle the ingredients and are able to take the heat, or I am unable to accomplish my mission. In God's house, there are many vessels with many purposes, and we are those vessels. But in a great house, 2 Timothy 2:20-21 says, but in a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some of honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and to meet the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. We are living vessels in God's house. And like our imaginary living pots and pans we just discussed, we do sometimes try to reason and even argue with the master about his plans for us and our desire and our choice of service for him. I think this is pretty long, so I think I'm going to stop right there. We'll start at the top. All right. What you doing? What you doing? Snuggling with my feet. Are you snuggling? Yeah, snuggling with my footsies. Right, Sarah? For true story. I know. Well, as soon as I started reading about living pots and pans, I thought this is not going to do me well, because I am that person that feels really bad if I don't use all my coffee mugs. Like, if I use the same one day after day, I'm afraid the other ones are going to get upset. I know it's stupid. I am well aware of the stupidity in that statement, but I still feel bad and will use the other. Thank you for licking my toes. We'll use the other coffee mug. I am also the person that if the dog's toys don't all get played with, I will pull out other toys so that the toys don't feel bad. I have done that since I was a little kid with my stuffies. Like, I rotated them. Some would get to sit in the front for a week, and then others would get to sit in front for a week because I didn't want them to be sad. I have issues, okay? I'm well aware. Now, as an adult, it's coffee mugs. I have a set over there that I never use and that just sit there for looks, and I always feel bad about it, but I don't like them. Well, some of them I really like, but some of them are just looking mugs, not drinking mugs. Yes, Betsy, thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I don't want my mugs to feel unloved, or I can't help it. I have felt that way my whole life. Oh, look, she's actually is insane. Now it's been confirmed. We've suspected it a while. Now we know it. All right, let's go ahead and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the love that you give us, the love that you reflect through your word every day to us, the reminders of your power and your might. God, I pray for each woman here today and all that they might be going through, struggles with health, with their nutrition, with children, with spouses, struggles with loss and grief and finances and just so many possibilities. And I know that there are such a variety of struggles going on here today, God, and we just ask to strengthen our hearts, to trust in you, to walk beside you, to be reminded that there is no trial that we go through that you don't walk beside us through. God, as we go through this day, I pray that you will help us to make choices all day that honor you, choices that strengthen our body, heal our body, nourish our body, and make us better vessels for your service. In your precious name, amen. All right. You did, Erica? I know, Betsy. What if they hear me? Now I'm going to have to go use some of those mugs that are hanging over there just so they don't feel bad. Man. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. I think this morning we should make ice cream sundaes for breakfast because we can. I was laying in bed this morning thinking about hot fudge because, it's just who I am. And I was thinking, I have a bunch of THM, hi buddy, THM handy chocolate syrup. Get up there. Go ahead, get up in your chair. Go ahead, get up there and say hi. Get up there. Don't tell me no. Get up there. You get up in that chair. He'll wait until I don't talk to him and then he'll do it. I do. I use the one from Scotty Bunches a lot too, but I rotate through. Anyway, I was laying in bed thinking about ice cream, and I have handy chocolate syrup, and I thought, I wonder if I were to make a bunch of that and add protein powder and a splash of cream, if it would make hot fudge. Protein hot fudge. So that's what mine is thin, but I just add a little Glucki Rita to thicken it up. There's a recipe for turning the handy chocolate syrup into hot fudge out there on the Trim Healthy page somewhere. All right, girls. Well, I'll go get my Ninja Creami out. We'll make some ice cream sundaes for breakfast because we can. And I'll put bananas underneath it. Surely. Because bananas and chocolate ice cream go good together. Right? Do you like ice cream? Do you like ice cream? Do you like bananas? Which do you like better, bananas or ice cream? Which is your favorite? Peanut butter? Is your favorite peanut butter? Come here. Is your favorite peanut butter? No, you're going to walk that. Come back. Is it ice cream? Is it chocolate? Is it bananas? No. Is it peanut butter? Is it peanut butter ice cream? I think that's the winner. I saw the swirl. I'm definitely not going to be investing in yet another ice cream gadget in my house. All right, girls. I love you. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you all back tomorrow for more devotions, and I'll hopefully see you in just a few minutes for breakfast ice cream. Love you guys. Bye. Say bye, Batchy. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Can you take a bow? Gorgeous, such a good boy.